Hello, my fabulous fifth graders. Today's lesson is on multiplying decimals. Our I can statement today is, I can multiply decimals by decimals. In our first example, Nina is buying peanuts in bulk. The peanuts cost 75 cents for each pound, and she purchased 2 1/10 pounds of peanuts. How much will Nina pay? Round to the nearest cent. We'll come back to that one. That one's a bit tricky. First thing we're going to do is estimate. Why do we estimate? We estimate to check to see if our answer is reasonable. So 75 cents times 2 1/10. 75 cents is pretty close to 1. And 2 1/10 is pretty close to 2. So I know that my estimate is going to be pretty close to 2. So I've got 75 cents and 2 1/10, and I'm going to multiply them just like they are whole numbers. Let's make it just a little bit bigger here. Now, let's go ahead and multiply. My first step is to multiply 5 times 1. 5 times 1 is 5. My next step is to multiply 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is 7. I could multiply 0 times 1, but it would just be 0. So now I need to move on to my next step. Before I do anything, I'm going to put my 0 as a placeholder, because this 2 is in a digit that represents a value 10 times greater than the 1. Now my job is to multiply 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. Now I'm going to multiply 7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 1, 15. Again, carry the 1. 0 times 2 is 0, but I've got 1 up here. So now I'm going to add these two products together to get my final product. 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 0 is 7. 5 and 1. Now I'm going to check and see. There are 1, 2, 3 total digits behind my decimal point. So there needs to be 3 total digits behind my decimal point in my product. So 1, 2, 3, and my decimal point goes right here. So now I have 1 and 575 thousandths of a what? This is why we need to round to the nearest cent. When we use our money, we don't go to the thousandths place. We go to the hundredths place. When I talk about a cent, I'm talking about a penny, the hundredths place. That is right here. So I'm going to take a look at this guy right next door. He's a 5. He tells me to round up. So that would be 1 and 58 cents. Nina will need to pay $1.58. Now let's check it with our estimate. Remember, we estimated that it was going to be near 2. Well, 2 is pretty close to 1 and 58 hundredths. So I would say our answer is reasonable. Let's try example 2. DeMarcus is buying a new guitar pick that costs 50 cents. The sales tax is found by multiplying the cost of the guitar pick by 6 hundredths. What is the cost of the sales tax for the pick? So we need to find 50 cents times 6 hundredths. When I estimate, that's like 1 times 0. So my estimate should be pretty close to 0. That's interesting. Let's multiply and see what we come up with. Again, we're going to multiply just like these are whole numbers. So 0 times 6 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. I'll carry my 3. 0 times 6 is 0 plus 3. Now I know here that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 total digits behind my decimal point in my factors. So that means I need 4 total digits behind my decimal point in my product. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. But what do we do with this empty space? What digit can I use that would represent no value? Well, that would be a 0. So I'm going to fill in these empty places with zeros. So 50 cents times 6/100 is the sales tax is 3 cents. The product, 3/100, is close to our estimate of 0. So our answer is reasonable. 3 cents, really? It's not worth very much. Here are 3 problems that I'd like you to try on your own. Remember, first, we're going to multiply as though they are whole numbers. Next, we are going to count the total number of digits behind the decimal point in our factors. Finally, we're going to make sure that our product has the same total number of digits behind the decimal point. I look forward to seeing what you come up with tomorrow in class. If anything seems confusing, please be sure to bring your questions to class with you. That brings us to the end of today's lesson. Our lesson was on multiplying decimals, and our I can statement was, I can multiply decimals by decimals. I look forward to seeing you in class tomorrow.